يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Which of your Lord's favors can you deny? When you look at the change of time, when you look at the change in season, when you look at how you are even growing every day, day after day, day after day, in and out of traffic. Yes, I mean traffic. I'm not talking of traffic of vehicle. No, I'm talking of traffic of life itself. Some are coming, some are going. Everything, all things are simply mercies of Allah. I pray that Allah Azza wa Jalla will continuously bless Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and members of his household. I greet you in the best form of greetings, that may peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's indeed my pleasure to welcome you onto Oh You Who Believe, a special package, a response actually from Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center regarding the need to fill in the gap. Fill in the gap, spiritual gap, intellectual gap, physical gap also, yes, because we don't leave you alone, especially at the peak of the pandemic. Alhamdulillah, I mean, my name is Abdulgani Walawale Hassan. Today, we are broadcasting on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube. We are also on Twitter. Try it. Get in touch with us at OKR Mosque. OKR Mosque. And inshallah, while you're there, make sure that you get in touch with your friends, family members, and loved ones. Make sure they're also enjoying this special package. Alhamdulillah, I mean, with that, I will only quickly want to tell us one or two things about this. Once you come in, please keep your microphone muted, because it will really help us with the communication. Today, inshallah, we have two speakers as usual, and immediately after the speakers, we shall have question and answer in case some of the questions that must have been bothering you. Yes, you get to ask questions, make clarifications on that, and more and more and more and more. Without much ado, let me quickly invite one of the students of Markaz in Old Kent Road Mosque, Fauzia Oketunde, to lead us in the recitation from the glorious Quran. Fauzia, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تودون إلى عامل الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعملون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين صدق الله العظيم.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Surah Al-Jumu'ah. MashaAllah. Thank you very much, Fawzia Oketunde, for that beautiful recitation. May Allah Azza wa Jalla bless you, bless your family, and bless the Ummah. Allahumma Ameen. Barakallahu fiqh. Alhamdulillah. Ameen. Well, we are set now. After the recitation, you know very well that the next is for me to hand over the reign of authority on this program to our moderator. But just before then, I will also want to add my voice to say thank you very much. Jazakumullahu khairan jaza to everyone who donated towards the rebuild of our mosque. Saturday, yeah, it was really a very exciting day for us all. Well, some people have done their bit. Why not join them? Why not do more? May Allah make it easy and consider it as part of acceptable act from all of us. Allahumma Ameen. Don't forget to register for the ongoing free media training. If the media were mine, organized by Man UK. Yes, we are still expecting you. It's never too late to learn. And talking of learning, why not just keep quiet and learn more from our professor of law, Professor Moshood Adebayo Badere, a professor of law from School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS, here in the United Kingdom. Bifadlukum. Your mic is still muted.
Yes, Jazakumullah khairan jaza, Man Abdul Ghani Olawale Hassan. Thank you so much for anchoring us. And may I also add my thanks to everyone who contributed to the success of the fundraising to rebuild the Old Kent Road Mosque, the mosque behind me here, on Saturday. Jazakumullah khairan jaza. That's what we can say for now. So we hope Allah will continue to provide for you to continue to assist this cause. And all our viewers, I also welcome you to today's session of O Ye Who Believe. The time has changed, so we hope people, are aware and will be trickling in, inshallah. So the time now has changed to 6 to 7:30. We hope others will be able to join us as we proceed on, inshallah. Today, we are going to have also, two speakers, who will be sharing their knowledge with us on very important topics from an Islamic perspective. I'm really privileged to be introducing these two speakers. The first person I'll be introducing is Brother Masood Ahmed. Brother Masood Ahmed, who is my namesake, is a qualified social worker from the University of Liverpool. He has an MBA and an MSc in social policy and administration from Goldsmiths University. Goldsmiths is one of the colleges of the University of London. Brother Masood worked as an independent social work expert, an international business consultant, and an independent film producer. He has traveled extensively, and traveling is part of knowledge. The Quran says, Siru fil ard, walk through the land and see the wonders of Allah. He has traveled extensively in the Middle East and Africa, and he has a special interest in the socio-political development in the Sudan. Sudan is a very interesting country. Brother Masood is a well-known public speaker, is a business coach and mentor. He's also a TV and radio broadcaster. Until recently, he served as Assistant Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain, that's the MCB. He is the CEO of Inspire a Million. Inspire a Million. This is a company that specializes in the training and development of individuals and organizations. He has been an award-winning manager in the private sector, that is in the voluntary sector and in local government in the UK. I mean, very, very professional, as we say, yet, he's also a person who upholds his Islamic identity and is very well grounded in Islamic knowledge. Brother Masood today will be speaking on the topic of motivation for change. The Englishman will say the only thing that is constant is change, motivation for change, which we need so much. So I'm really privileged to be able to welcome Brother Masood Ahmed. Thank you so much for your time and welcome to this platform, all you who believe. Jazakumullah khairan jaza, may Allah reward you. The second person who will be speaking after Brother Masood is our sister Sakina Olateju Bello, who is also, very well grounded. She's a biomedical scientist. She has an MSc in transfusion science. Yet, she's a very well established Muslim sister. She's a certified professional protection advisor. She helps families with protection procedures that are in place for them, also for their income and for their family at large. In the world, those are two things. They are the scholars from an Islamic perspective. It is two things that actually motivate us to do something. One, we want provisions. We want to get riches. That's what motivates us to do a lot of things. We want to achieve, want to acquire things. The second one is we want to protect ourselves from harm. Those are the two things that motivate us in everything that we do. You want to get something or you want to protect yourself from harm. So protection is very, 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 very important. Sister Sakina will be giving us some protection advice. Sister Sakina, you're also welcome. Thank you so much for your time, and may Allah put it in your mizan al-khair. Brother Masood Ahmed will be speaking for 25 minutes, as we normally do. And I think the timer will be on so that we are conscious of time. Then after that, Sakina will be speaking for 15 minutes, and the timer will be on as well. Then after this, we'll have plenty of time for questions. So without taking too much time after this, let me hand over to Brother Masood Ahmed to speak to us about, motivation for change. Bismillah, Brother Masood.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Respected viewers, Chairman, Brother Hassan, and also the chair, the proper professional chair of this event, who is going to guide us and keep us on our toes, Professor Mashood Badreddin. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. I know you're doing great work at SOAS and elsewhere. May Allah bless you and reward you for all the wonderful work that you are involved in. And you yourself are an inspiration. You give us motivation to carry on. You give us inspiration to keep going in spite of all the difficulties. So today, inshallah, with your help and your dua, what I'm going to do is speak from the heart. Just say a few things over the next 25 minutes to see if we can bring about some change, especially in our mindset. So let me say that it is also a pleasure to be in the company of Sister Sakina, who is going to speak after me. So if I start running over my time, somebody stop me, because when I get going, it's hard to stop. So please keep an eye on the timer and give me some indication when to stop, because I'm not timing myself. Motivation for change. What is motivation? It's a desire to bring about some change, to do something different. There is a saying that if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same result. So usually when we try to bring about some change, when we are thinking of change, we are thinking that something needs to happen, something needs to change, because the current circumstances, the current situation is not good enough. It needs to be better. So in that context, let us try and examine very quickly how change comes about. It can happen internally, it can happen externally. So internal drives are that you actually convince yourself, you realize that you need to change. I, as an individual, when I realize that things have to change because things can't carry on the way they are, whether that is in personal situation, whether in terms of my finances, whether in terms of my health and fitness, whether in terms of what's going on in my neighborhood, in my community, in my country, even in the world. If you realize that things need to change internally, then you find a cause and then you move on. But it can also be external. Other people can push you, other people can inspire you, other people can force you. Sometimes, you know, in treatment, people who have addiction problems, they need to be sometimes forced to go into detox, to go into all kinds of treatments to try and come out of their difficulties, to come out of their situation. So whatever the driver may be, whether internal or external, from a religious point of view, from an Islamic point of view, we have to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah does not change the condition of a people, of a person or a nation until they change what is within themselves. So the internal driver has to be really in the right place. We have to change what is within us. And that could be our mindset. That could be how we think. That could be what we believe. That could be how we perceive the world. So I will go on to some of those things, hopefully, in a little more detail, inshallah, as I move on. Now, normally I do these kind of talks in live situations. Now, unfortunately, we all know that for more than a year now, we have been in devastating situations where there is the pandemic and people are in lockdown in different parts of the world and all sorts of things. So circumstances beyond our human control, beyond our individual control, are driving us to adapt, to change in a different way, to react in a different way. Very rarely would you find somebody sitting in front of a computer and giving these kind of talks. This is a real life thing. If you want to bring about change, you need to be face to face, head on, debate, discuss, argue, challenge, question, and attend in seminars and discussions to see where the change can come about, how the change can come about. So in spite of that, as human beings, remarkably, we adapt, we change, and we do the best we can in spite of what the circumstances. So let us take some lessons from it. One of the difficulties people are facing at the moment is that of mental health problems. We may be feeling depressed, we may be feeling anxiety, we may be feeling post-traumatic stress disorder, all kinds of things are there. In fact, I can give you some statistics if that helps. If you want to find out how common mental health, this is post, in fact, this is pre-COVID. I expect the situation is worse. Mixed anxiety and depression, 8 in 100 people are suffering from it. Generalized anxiety disorder, something called GAD, 6 in 100 people are suffering from it. Post-traumatic stress disorder, 4 in 100 people are suffering from it. Depression, 3 in 100 people are suffering. Phobias, 2 in 100 people. Obsessive compulsive disorder, something known as OCD, 1 in 100 people are suffering from that. And then there is panic disorder, fewer than 1 in 100 people are suffering from this. These facts are from Mind in the UK. You can look it up if you want more details. They no doubt will be updating their statistics in due course. Now, if you want to learn about change, there are various theories about change. There is one theory by a couple of people who did some research, and it stands out above many others, and especially in the fields that I have been working in. This is by Prochaska and De Clementis in 1983. what they said is that for change to happen, there are different stages. So some people, they kind of sit on the fence. They're not sure whether it will happen or not, whether it needs to happen or not. So they're not convinced yet. And then they need to make their preparation. So they are ready for the change. So this is another stage, that I will change. The third stage is where they're ready to take some action, that I am making a change. Yeah. And the fourth stage is about maintaining the change you have achieved. And the fifth is where there is no problem, that there is nothing to change. You are happy and things are carrying on. So these are different stages. I'm not giving you the theoretical, the textbook stuff. I'm just simplifying it just so we are a little bit familiar with it. Now, you know, in the world, some people get motivated by negative things and other people get motivated by positive things. It takes, in my view, the same amount of energy. Let's just say if somebody is suffering from poverty, they might decide to go and rob a bank. It will require a lot of planning, calculation, strategy, all kind of studies and research. I mean, these people are not as stupid as we think, let's face it. So they make lots of preparations. Now, if they use that same energy to go and do something productive, to set up a business, to make money and so on, then you'll realize that they could probably earn something far better, more sustainable, without spending time in prison or doing other things. Other people get worried about population. Other people get worried about too many black people, too many white people, too many this, too many that. Now, all of these people don't realize that we are part of something much, much bigger. There is a bigger universe at play. And there are greater powers beyond human imagination that are controlling us. And we need to submit to those powers, the powers of the universe. Those who are believers, they would say, submit to the will of God. And then you will realize that you are quite insignificant in the bigger scheme of things. So you don't become panicky, you don't worry so much. There is an experiment that was done called pale green dots. Now, again, for time reason, I'm not going to go into detail, but you could look this up. The pale green dot is what the universe looks like from space. When the Voyager was there, it looked at the Earth and there was a tiny little speck. You'd need a microscope to be able to even see it. That's how insignificant the whole universe, the whole world is, the Earth is for in the universe context. So what we need to realize is that when we start fighting with each other, when we start struggling with each other, when we start getting panicky and worried to death, you know, some people become so worried and anxious about finance, about neighborhood, about this, about that, and about overpopulation, or, you know, lack of resources because too many immigrants are coming into the country, or lack of resources because too many people are claiming free school meals, or whatever it may be. These people don't put themselves in the real scheme of things, in the biggest picture. God didn't send us to this world without our provisions. It's man, because of their greediness, because of their miserliness. Some people hoard it too much, and other people get too worried about it, and they try to destroy other people's peace and happiness. Dear brothers and sisters, let us realize that we are on this planet. We are sent here for a purpose. Every one of us are here as a piece, as a masterpiece. Each one of us, regardless of our color, our language, our qualifications, our position in society, every human being is a masterpiece. What we need to do is focus on results. If you focus on results, you will never change. Sorry, if you focus on results, you will never change. But if you focus on change, you will get results. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you get overexcited about winning the game, or let's just say even driving tests. Some of you may be even doing driving tests now. if you have recently gone for a test and you failed, it's probably because you are so preoccupied about passing. But if you just take it naturally, life as it comes, just like when you are a past driver, you're driving and you're going along, you realize that things go naturally. You take one step at a time, one street at a time. You don't worry about the whole journey. You make preparations. By the way, failing to plan, is planning to fail. So make plans. We all need to make plans, whatever we want to do, okay? And the result will show, inshallah. Unsuccessful people, they make decisions based on their current situations. But successful people, what they do is they make decisions based on their destination, where they want to go. What is their long-term goal? What is their strategy? What is their long-term vision? So be focused on the long-term rather than the short-term, because the short-term obsession doesn't get you anywhere. You need to be long, you need to have farsight and long vision. Ali ibn Abi Talib, one of the caliph, radiallahu anhu, he said, how foolish is man. He ruins the present while worrying about the future, but weeps in the future by recalling his past. I don't know if any of you have come across elders who would say, those were the days, our golden days. The question to ask the elders is, what did you do at that time? Did you realize those were the golden moments? Because what we do is that we procrastinate. When we have the opportunities to do something, we don't do it at the right time. We put it off. And then when it's too late, we look back and say, oh, my parents were the greatest people. My grandparents were so kind. My brother was so loving. My sister was so beautiful. My sister was so kind. All of these things, we look back, but we don't appreciate when we have those pleasures in front of us. We need to love each other. We need to care for each other. We need to appreciate each other. We need to smile at each other more. And that's how you bring about change. Every smile is a charity. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. So treasure the moments, treasure the present. There's a saying that your past is history. Your future is a mystery. And your present is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So we need to celebrate the present. Whatever the circumstances, this is the gift you have. Make the most of it, because the next moment you don't know what's going to happen. That's a bit of a mystery. So don't get too worried about it. Leave it in the hand of God. You make the preparations, you make the plans, things will change, inshallah. And that's how you keep going. What you do today is important because you are exchanging a day of your life. Do you know how precious life is? Every day, when I have seen many people during this pandemic, I have heard about many people during this pandemic, they're just crying, they're just struggling just for that extra moment to live. They're just struggling to see if they can breathe an extra second, extra moment. Just yesterday, I was talking to a lady. She said her mother passed away only 2 days ago. And she was on the phone and her mother couldn't get the words out because she was struggling for breathing. May Allah have mercy on her soul. May God have mercy on her soul. But what I'm saying to you is that, do you know how blessed you are? Do I know how blessed I am that I am able to talk to you? I am able to breathe. I'm able to see. I'm able to hear. And all these are blessings. So why are we worried about so many things? Why we get depressed? Why we get frustrated? And why we lose control of things and lose control and lose focus? If you want something you've never had, then you've got to do something you've never done. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, all of us, we want things, but are we prepared to do something different? Because if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same result. We want to be like, in terms of wealth, like Bill Gates, Jack Ma, or whoever it is, who has vast wealth. But are you prepared to do the sacrifices they had made to get to that position? Are you prepared to burn midnight oil? Are you prepared to work the hours? Are you prepared to do all it takes to study, to understand, to get to the bottom of things, to realize that if you want mastery of something, it's not just about passing the exams. It's about learning the knowledge and treasuring it and sharing it, because the more you give, the more you get. And that's why many of these rich people, they want to keep giving, because they have learned the secret. They know that when you give, you're not losing out. And this is an Islamic principle. Sadaqah, you were talking about raising funds for the mosque. The people who are giving, they're the smart ones. And you don't have to have vast wealth to give. You help a cause, a good cause. You bring a smile to somebody. You realize that it doesn't cost much. But when you give, your heart is content. Immediately, your heart is smiling. So blessings come in so many different ways. Brothers and sisters, I tell you one story just in that context, especially for those who are thinking whether they should give charity or not to your fundraising campaign, is that, I mean, I don't give thinking that Allah is going to give me immediately. Now, not that long ago, I went to the mosque and I was praying my Friday prayer. And at the end, I just gave £10. Before I could leave the mosque, I ended up with a contract that was £10,000. It pinged on my phone. Subhanallah. Brothers and sisters, I'm not saying it's going to happen like that every time. You have to, I'm just giving you some examples, one of many, many examples. Okay, many examples. So things happen in miraculous ways. So don't be miserly. Let us have a big heart. Let us be generous to everyone, regardless of their color, regardless of their race, regardless of their language, regardless of their circumstances. And you will realize that amazing things will happen. Change will come in your life. Motivation will come in your life. Go and motivate somebody else. If you're feeling depressed, overlook that and find somebody who needs your help. Because if you look to those who are in a better situation than you in terms of moral standards, in terms of character, in terms of goodness, in terms of good behavior, you will improve. But if you look at those, if you're always looking at those who have plenty than you in material things, you'll always feel miserable. You'll never have enough. And even those people who have the highest wealth, highest turnover in their business and so on, go and talk to them. They're still longing for something. That's human beings. On this earth, you will never have 100% satisfaction. You'll never have 100% of everything that you want. This is the fact. So be happy, be content with what you have and move forward positively. Don't expect to see a change if you don't make one. So, I mean, these are, you know, these are things that we need to realize. And then, you know, when you become the change that you want in the world, like Gandhi said, be the change you want in the world, then you will see that things will happen. You have to believe in things. You have to embody what you actually say and practice. Then you will realize, change your thoughts and your change will come. The change in the world will come if your thoughts change. So all things begin from the mind. If your mindset is different, if you work with somebody, sometimes, you know, it's very easy to get motivated in this kind of events. But you need someone to coach you. You need someone to motivate you. You need someone to work with you so that you don't give up when the going gets tough. So just realize that there is a saying from Socrates, one of the philosophers, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Dear brothers and sisters, this literally is relevant in the context of our youngsters. I come across, when I do training programs, when I do seminars, so many young people, they're going on and on about their elders. My father is so miserable. My mother is like this. My grandfather is like that. They never did anything for us. That's why I am in this situation. If they were from better tribe, if they were from better clan, if they had lots more wealth, if they had this, if they had that, going on and on about it, it doesn't help. Build the new. Think what you're doing for your future generations. Focus on what you what you are going to do for your future generation. Build on yourself, build yourself stronger. Okay, don't focus on the negatives. Your elders didn't have some of the luxuries that you have. They didn't have the luxury to sit there and stare at a screen all day and all night, watching television and thinking, oh, I'm bored, I've got nothing better to do. Your elders were working their guts out. They were working in the field, they were working in the factories, they were working everywhere to try their daily bread, to earn their daily bread. That's how tough life was. So freedom and all these things doesn't come easy. People have worked for us to have some of the luxuries that we have so that we can now look back and complain. No, we need to be grateful. We need to have an attitude of gratitude. No matter who you are, be thankful for everything. I've changed the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. So if you look at your elders, if you look at your father, if you look at your mother, and you look at them with mercy and kindness, you will realize mercy and kindness will come back to you. If you look at the world around you, your neighborhood, your community, you will realize positive things will come if you bring some positivity. But if you always focus on the negatives, things will become difficult. If you want something you've never had, like I said, then you've got to do something you've never done. So remember that. I'm emphasizing it for a reason. Dear brothers and sisters, only a few minutes left. So let me share with you just a couple of parting thoughts. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, purity is half of faith, and the praise of Allah fills the scale. Glorification and praise fill up what is between the heavens and the earth. Prayer is a light, charity is proof, and patience is illumination. You need to be patient. If you don't have patience, change, no matter what you change to and what changes come about, it will not last. You have to be patient. Truthfulness leads to righteousness, and righteousness leads to paradise. One of the sayings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what I want to focus on, let me see if I can find you something to finish off with, and that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us lots of blessings. We need to be grateful for all of that. And no matter what your situation is, Allah will find you and guide you, because he said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Surah Ad-Duha, verse number 7, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى, and he found you lost and he guided you. So if Allah can guide the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he can guide you. Be patient over what befalls you. This is in Surah Luqman, verse number 17. You know, you can call me crazy, but I like to see other people happy. I like to see other people change. I like to see people to have better life. And for that reason, I dedicate myself to working with them to bring about change, to be different. But it is a passion, and you need to find your passion, how you can make a difference in life, how you can bring about change. The struggle is part of the journey, brothers and sisters. Everyone goes through it. Keep going and don't give up. That's my message. Let me finish here 15 seconds early so that my sister Sakina can have 15 seconds more. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Masood, thank you so much for that very inspirational talk. You've really inspired us in the sense that, we should always look forward to positive change. Change is constant. Look, that's one of the responsibilities of all the prophets. All the prophets were sent, all of them, in order to change the society that they were sent to. Our own Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, you find in the Quran, Allah said that he has sent him لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ, in order to change people, move people from darkness into light. So, and you really, touched on so many points that, we should bear in mind when we are really wanting to change for the positive. We have to do it in stages, in steps. Even look at the Quran. Allah tells us in the Quran, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَّقْنَا وَلِتَقْرَأُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ. Allah told the Prophet, we have revealed the Quran to you so that you will read it to the people, gradually, and we have revealed it in stages. And this is the concept of graduality. So it's very essential. You know, when we are looking for change, we should focus on the change, not the immediate, end. Gradually. So thank you so much for that inspiration. And may Allah, always assist us with our efforts to change our lives positively. So I know there will be a lot of questions, inshallah. So please hold back. While we give the platform to Sister Sakina, who will be talking to us about protection advice in 15 minutes. So Sakina, Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you, Brother Masood, for that great knowledge that you shared with us. And thank you, Professor Masood, for the opportunity as well. And I'm happy I'm able to share the platform with you as well. I've been a member, but on my mom's phone, so I decided to be my own person today. So I will be talking about protection advice. And I know from the leaflet, most people are thinking, yeah, she's going to talk about life insurance. No, I'm not talking about life insurance, because there is more to insurance than just life insurance. And from the beginning, Professor Masood did share with us that whatever we're doing is for two things. Is either for the money or you're protecting it. So now when I ask most people, which is the question I always ask, which is, what is your main asset? What is your most powerful asset that you have? People will say, oh, my house, my jewelry. But I say to them, no, it is your salary, your money. How do you protect it? If you don't have this money, if you don't protect it wisely, how do you get this luxury? Your house is a luxury. Your gold is a luxury, your jewelry is a luxury. So the main asset is actually our income, our money. How do we protect it? And that's what I'm going to be talking about. I know life insurance is very important, but that's actually the last one that I talk about the most. My main focus is things that you can protect while you're alive. When I talk about life insurance, people get scared. No, I'm not going to die now and all of that. We are all going to die one day, and it's a reality. We have to talk about it. However, there are so many things happening out there that would happen to us, but will not take our life. How do we cope with it? And this is where our income protection comes in. We have the accident and health insurance, and then we have things like critical illness. And these are things that you don't necessarily have to die before you can benefit from it. Income protection is something that actually pays out when you are unable to carry out your daily activities, so your work, in terms of serious illness, in terms of accident, or in terms of injury. I've met some people, going through an advice with them, and their perspective of income protection is, if I lost my job, I can make a claim. No, you losing your job is not because you are incapable. However, it is because either the company doesn't need your service anymore, or because you yourself, you decide to move on and find another job. So income protection doesn't cover that aspect. So income protection now is something that if your GP or your consultant has said you are incapable, you cannot do your daily work for a year, but how do you cope? Because your job isn't going to pay you a salary for that 1 year. Most jobs, they would either pay you for 3 months, 6 months, or better still, they pay you statutory sick pay. And in the Black community, the most thing that we tend to do is when we are incapable, when we are sick, we still say, oh, which account am I going to write it in? How am I going to cover these bills? Then we go to work, and then eventually we're killing ourselves, we're hurting ourselves, we're injuring ourselves even more. So that's injury over injury. And that's one main thing that I like to pass out, which is the income protection. The second one now is the accident and hospitalization. When we talk about life insurance, it is not everybody that qualifies for life insurance. And I know people would think, what do you mean? Everybody can do? No. You getting life insurance depends on your age. It depends on your health. It depends on your income. So for life insurance now, someone that's got a medical condition. So for example, I'm going to use myself. I've got sickle cell, and I did life insurance for 2 years before I realized that my sickle cell wasn't even covered. And that's one mistake that we do most of the time. When we take these policies, because we've done it from the bank, we believe everything that they tell us. Most of the time, what the bank will do is they give you what they have. It doesn't necessarily mean what you need. So now me doing life insurance thinking, oh yeah, they will pay, but then my sickle cell is not covered. Please, what's the point of me doing that life insurance, or what's the advantage for me? So now I've got an alternative that even if I was sick, which as a sickle cell, one of the main things that I know that is part of me is that at some point I will be sick and I will go to hospital. I will spend days in the hospital. How do I cope with these days that I've been in hospital? As a student, I used to run away from the hospital because I want to go back to school, or because I want to go back to work, because I'm thinking, oh, they're going to complain that I'm taking time off, or they won't pay my salary. How am I going to pay my bills and things like that? So now me taking that accident and health protection, I've been able to protect my salary in the sense that when I'm in hospital, I can make a claim and I can benefit from my protection that I have. Now that is not life insurance, because life insurance would only pay when you're dead. So basically you're not the one that is benefiting from the life insurance, it is your dependent. But now that you're alive, life has thrown you lemon, and there's a saying, when life throws you lemon, you make lemonade out of it. If life has shown you sickness and you don't even have a way or means to either look after yourself or to even get better, I know, and this is a saying, sometimes when we hear about money, anything that is happening to us at that time, we forget about it. We literally forget about our worries. So now I'm sick. At first, I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? But now I'm thinking, yes, there is money somewhere that I'm going to get. I'm not praying to be sick. I'm not praying to die anytime soon, but it has happened to me. Life has thrown it to me. How do I make lemonade out of it? It is from protecting my income, from protecting my salary. And that is what I've done. So that is the accident and hospitalization, which most people does not know about, because we only know about life insurance. When we go to the bank, the only thing they offer you is life insurance. And that's because they believe that that is what we do. So now I'm going to say a little bit more about life insurance. When you do life insurance, the mistake that we do most of the time, which most of my clients have complained about when I talk about insurance, oh, insurance does not pay. Why would you say insurance does not pay? Is it that you've done the wrong thing or you've taken the wrong thing at the right time? So now that is taking the wrong thing at the right time. So that's two different things. So now you've taken life insurance, which is for your dependent. However, you have not put it into trust. When you put it into trust, that is you putting for your family information in there as to, this is where I want this money to go when I eventually die. And now putting it into trust, it helps that money to not go through inheritance tax. And then that way the money gets paid quickly and easily. But you've not put it into trust. How would the bank or how would the company know where to pay the money to? So now your family is saying life insurance or insurance does not pay. Is because you haven't done it correctly. And then the other one now is the content insurance. Content insurance, most people will just believe, oh yeah, it's for TV. When my TV breaks, they never do anything about it. No, it's because when you took that insurance, you wanted something that was cheap. So now they've increased your excess. It's exactly the same thing how your car insurance work. We know that all of us, when we start driving, it is important to do car insurance. Now you've had an accident and then your insurance company is saying, oh, we cannot pay for that claim, or you have to pay an excess of maybe 1,500, which is what you've chosen because you want to reduce your premium. In that situation, you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to make a claim anymore. And now you're saying insurance does not pay. So you've done a content insurance of accidental damage for TV, and your excess is £500. Your TV is broken because the children, kicked the ball and now it's broken into pieces. You want to repair it, but your excess is £500. Most of the time, we don't know this when we're taking the insurance. The only thing we're worried about is how much am I going to be paying? But really, it's not about how much am I going to be paying. It is, will this benefit me when I need it? When we do insurance, we're not doing it for today. We're not doing it for tomorrow. We're not even doing it for 5 years' time. Most of the time when we do insurance, it's actually for maybe 10, 20, 30 years' time. And then when it's time for you to repair that TV, you've called up your insurance and they're saying you need to pay an excess of £500. And this is you thinking, £500 when I'm only paying £10. I can buy another TV for £250 or £200 when I go to the market. Is because you've taken the wrong insurance because you wanted a cheap premium. So now I advise, when you're taking insurance, it's not necessarily, or it doesn't have to be cheap. You want it to be affordable and useful when you need it, not cheap. Because when it's cheap, trust me, most of the time you don't benefit from it. And that's what happens. So that is now about our content insurance. Regardless of whatever you want to repair, it could be your fridge, freezer, which most of the time your content insurance from the bank would probably not even cover your white goods. So things like your fridge, freezer, your washing machine, now they've broken up. You want to fix it, your insurance or your Halifax, your bank is now saying to you, oh, we're not going to fix it because your cover did not cover your washing machine. And you're saying, no, but I took the washing machine insurance. No, you didn't. You took a content cover. Did you read what was covered? Did you read what is not covered? Those are the things that we need to find out. This money that we spend when the need comes, these are the money that we spend when we feel like, obviously, we need to make that claim at that time. So when it's not paying out, we get angry that insurance is not useful, insurance doesn't pay out. It's because we have taken the wrong insurance. And then the last one, which is the critical illness. And that one, I know most people does critical illness thinking that they have life insurance. It could be, but most of the time, critical illness is something that pays out when you have a critical illness. Now, when I'm talking about critical illness, I'm sure you already have an idea what critical is. Earlier on, I mentioned that I've got sickle cell. You would think, oh, like critical illness or sickle cell is covered. No, it's not covered because they see you as high risk anyway. So most of this insurance, life insurance, critical illness, income protection, it depends on your health. It depends on your income. So now when you're taking insurance, my advice is take it based on what you can afford. When you can afford it, it helps you to keep it longer. One mistake that we tend to do most of the time is we take an insurance because, yeah, at the moment I'm getting maybe £2,000, £3,000 every month from work. I can afford £50 insurance. That's fine. At some point in time, it gets to a stage where you can't even afford that £50, or because we've not made a claim within a year of paying that £50. We've calculated the £50 times 12, that's £600. I've just paid that money. I've not benefited from it. Why are you eager to cancel it? And then we cancel it. And then that lemon that I was talking about would happen. How would you make it into a lemonade? Because you have canceled it, because you felt like, yes, I'm not benefiting from it. I've not made a claim from it. I can use that £50 for something else. Now that you've canceled it, the need for that insurance, for that claim has now arisen. How are you going to cope? Because you have canceled it. But if that insurance is affordable, we should see our insurance as a mobile phone. I know from all of us that we're on this platform today, if anything happens to any of us, God forbid, we would never cancel our mobile phone. And that is the way we should see our insurance. See it as something that is stuck to you, something you cannot live without, so that even if you've not benefited from it, which if I say it, that, you know, we never pray to actually benefit from the insurance, because when you're benefiting from the insurance, it means something bad is happening. But we're doing it in case life throws us that lemon, and then we can get up on our feet and move on with life. So I'm going to share a story to, you know, back up my insurance claim, and then I'm going to end it there because I can see that my time is running out. So the story that I'm going to share is when the Grenfell Tower building, when it got burnt, we know that most people from that building, they died. And some people, they were in hospital for months, for days, before they were able to go back. So for those people in that house, some of them now, they haven't got life insurance, and some of them, they've got life insurance. So someone that did not die, but, you know, they had burns and they were in hospital, in that situation, because they are still alive, now they've taken life insurance. Life insurance is not going to pay out because they are not dead. Whereas someone that is still in that building, that was in hospital, but then they've taken income protection, they've taken the accident and hospitalization. Now they were in hospital, they've not been able to go to work, but remember, they are not dead. So the other insurance now that they've taken is going to be the one that would help them to get back on their feet and move on with their life. And from that story that we heard from the TV and the news, we knew that the government didn't really do much for them on time. It was after the charity has done so many things. So how do you expect people in that situation. God forbid, nothing like that is going to happen to any of us or our family. But if we put ourselves in that situation and think, okay, if something like this has happened to me and I've not been able to go to work for 1 year and my work is not going to pay, how am I going to even move on with life? And that is why I said I'm not going to be concentrating on life insurance, because in that situation, I'm still alive, but I'm still sick. I cannot go to work because I've got injuries, but I've only done life insurance. Life insurance is not going to pay me unless I die. And I know there's still going to be some debate about, can we do life insurance? I know we're going to get that, because I've had some clients that will say that to me as well, that life insurance is around. I'm going to pass that to Professor Masood to answer that and to enlighten us on that information, because it's something that I would like to know myself. Because I've got a client that did not do life insurance, but they've done mortgage insurance. It's the same thing. Mortgage insurance is a type of life insurance. So, sir, I would definitely like you to enlighten us on that situation. Just for my few seconds, I'm going to share my business card in case anyone wants a personal one-to-one insurance advice. I'm happy to do that at any time. Just contact me and I would definitely be happy to help. And that is going to go in the chat room. I'm going to put my information in there. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for listening. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Jazakumullah khairan jaza Sakina for that very brilliant presentation on protection advice. That's insurance protection advice. I mean, as I mentioned, you know, in life we need protection. I mean, in various ways. Even the Quran talks about the fact that Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu khuzu hizrakum. Oh, you who believe, take your precautions. And protection is about precaution. And as you rightly mentioned, I mean, I know there will be a lot of questions. The question usually will be whether insurance, is permissible within Islam. Insurance as we know it, in the West and in many parts of the world. Inshallah, we'll come to that. But the fundamental issue is what you've mentioned, because in life, there are a lot of, uncertainties. You know, you may lose your job, you may, your health might fail. And at every point in time, you don't want to fall on perhaps maybe begging in order to sustain yourselves. How do you go about it in relation to protecting all these uncertainties? So you had analyzed quite, clearly the different ways under contemporary insurance. But I know there will be a lot of questions in that regard. When we get into question time, inshallah, we will take the questions and we will look at them. So now let's go briefly to the control room for a brief interlude before we come back for questions. Control room.
My parents chose to name me Old Kent Road Islamic and Cultural Center as a baby, and when the time came for me to start my family, my daughter was also named at this masjid.
Same as my story, I was also born and named there. I attended Maracas and used to play football after classes with my mates.
The Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center, MAN UK, is a community where all Muslims enjoy the bond of brotherhood and the sweetness of sisterhood.
Old Kent Road Masjid has played an important role in my spiritual and social development and that of my young family.
It is a home, a place of solace for everyone, especially the Muslims of African descent living in London, United Kingdom.
This is a heritage we treasure and must preserve for the next generation. We need you to make this dream come true.
Kindly donate and encourage your family, friends, and loved ones to contribute towards the rebuilding of our mosque.
May Allah bless and reward you abundantly. Allahumma Ameen.
Please help build our mosque.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza for that promotion for our fundraising and also the mosque project. Once again, I would want to thank everyone who contributed to the fundraising within last weekend. The fundraising is still ongoing. I mean, the fundraising was very successful. You know, we said we were going to raise 800,000 pounds. Alhamdulillah, we raised over 100,000. And I mean, it's still ongoing. So the project is on course, inshallah. And therefore, the fundraising is still very, very much open. Everyone listening to us, I mean, you see, we have hit the ground. I mean, we have raised about 1/8 of the funds. And therefore, we are still calling, please continue donating. Particularly, we know we'll be able to raise much funds in Ramadan, but we'll continue calling on you to continue putting funds in. Because inshallah, by May, the project will start. So we'll continue calling on everyone, whether in-house or everywhere you're listening to us, on Facebook, on what do you call it, Zoom, YouTube. Please make sure that, I mean, you continue to donate to this cause. It's an opportunity, and we pray that, I mean, you partner with us to be able to get this done. I see that, I mean, the numbers of participants is increasing. Many of us who are just joining, I just want to let you know that, I mean, the time in London has changed. And if you looked at the program for this week very well, you find out that the time has changed from 6. We are starting from 6 to 7:30 now. So it's around 7 o'clock now, and therefore we still have about 30 minutes. So bear in mind, inshallah, I mean, from this week up through Ramadan, the time for OU who believe will be from 6 o'clock, both UK time and also Nigerian time, because we are using the same time space now. Jazakumullah khairan jaza. Now we go on to questions. So control room.
Assalamu alaikum. Just as Prof predicted, the first question says, Prof, please, can you shed more light on life insurance or insurance in general from an Islamic perspective? Is it allowed in Islam?
Well, Jazakumullah khairan jaza. I know that question was going to come because it comes up all the time. Now, when we talk about insurance generally, that is insurance allowed or not allowed in Islam, it is like asking the question. I mean, if somebody will say, is business allowed? You know, if you say, is business allowed? Generally, the answer would be that yes, business is allowed. You know, but then if you ask, say, I mean, is the business of selling wine allowed? I'll say, no, that is not allowed. So, I mean, you have to, I mean, bear it in mind. So a lot of people may not, I mean, specify and answer the question properly. Insurance is allowed in Islam, you know, and when we talk about insurance, you have to understand it, I mean, in context. Insurance is about protecting, I mean, uncertainties in life. Some may say that, well, insurance is not allowed because it is like gambling. I've heard some scholars say that, well, it's like, I mean, because of the fact that in Islam, speculations are prohibited, gharar, you know, but the truth of the matter is people who do not study this well will say that, well, speculations are prohibited. No, speculations, although the term used is gharar, but there are some speculations that are permissible. There are some speculations that are prohibited because under Islamic finance, you know, Islamic banking, for example, the permissibility of it is based on profit and loss. The Quran says, I mean, the concept of business in Islam is that it should not be based on interest, but it should be based on profit and loss. But if you look at the context of profit and loss itself, it is speculation because, I mean, you might lose, you might profit. Do you get the point? I mean, you might lose, you might get profit. So you are just going into it with speculation that maybe this money I might lose, I might get profit. But it is, you know, the excessive, I mean, speculation like gambling, which is, I mean, prohibited. So if anybody tells you because of the speculative aspect of it, insurance is prohibited, then that person will actually also prohibit you going to business at all. Because when you go into business, you don't know whether you are going to win or you are going to lose. You just put in every effort. And then when you get profit, fine. If you lose, then you count your losses. Now, insurance is allowed because of the fact, the ayah that I quoted, the Quran says, "Oh, you who believe, take your precautions in whatever you do." We don't know the future, you know, and you don't want to fall on begging. But the aspect of insurance that is prohibited, there are two things why people will say that, I mean, certain types of insurance are prohibited. That is the aspect of riba. usury aspect of it, two ways in relation to what how is the money used? That is, when people put money, the premiums, if maybe it is used in riba transactions in order to, sustain it and to grow it so that people can be able to draw from it. So people say that if it has an element of riba, then it is prohibited. Now, therefore, similar to Islamic banking, there are concept of Islamic insurance now all over everywhere, even in the UK. It is called takafful. What is meant by takafful is solidarity, because the concept of insurance itself is based on solidarity. People coming together, pooling resources. That, okay, when things are good, I'll be putting something together. We'll be putting something so that if one of us suffers, we can help him through it. And so it is takafful. It's like, solidarity and also cooperation and emotional assistance amongst people. Now, if you look at, the concept of takafful insurance in Islam, elements of riba are moved away from it. How the money is, invested, it is invested in transactions that are not riba based. And also sometimes people may have a pullback. In many conventional insurance, people don't have. If you claim, if you have injury, you claim. You may be in an insurance contract for so many years. If you don't make a claim, it's like you are just giving money. And you find out that in takafful there are various perspectives, whereby if you put money in for some time and you have never made a claim, you get some payback. Because so there are various ways by which, so we cannot say that insurance is prohibited. It's similar to banking. There are Islamic insurance and things like that. Now, the issue of life insurance. In Islamic insurance, provisions are made for life insurance. A lot of people, and it's based on that girl. Actually, if you want to talk about life insurance is actually the insurance that will be taken, because life insurance, people who do not understand will say that it is based on girl. No, because death is actually constant. You know that death is going to happen. You are not speculating about it. And this is why it baffles me when people say life insurance. You know you are going to die one day. You are not speculating about it. So you know it's going to happen. So, and if you make provisions for when it happens, I have children behind, I have how they will be protected. That's not speculation at all. But the important thing is the type of insurances we do. There are so many, even many of the conventional insurance companies now have Islamic windows, because they know that many Muslims do not want to do insurance that have a riba base. If you ask, they will provide the Islamic window, and there are various products that are Islamic compliant, Sharia compliant, no riba, and things like that. So I hope that it's a big topic. I hope if that has answered your question. So if you want to take insurance, it's good to take, because you need to take precautions, but try to find whether you can be able to get an insurance, from an Islamic perspective. If you live in a country or in a place where there is no Islamic insurance takafful, that is another question. This is where perhaps maybe necessity comes into the picture and things like that. Somebody may ask a question, why can't maybe in our community a few of us pull together to do the same thing? Now, for insurance to be viable, the pool must be very big. The pool of people who put in premiums must be very, very, very large. Because if it is very small, something might happen to a person, which will take all the money away. So the pool must be very big. And also, people, it needs a lot of administration in that regard. So generally, insurance is permissible, because it's about precautions, but it has to be Islamic, or Sharia compliant. I hope that has answered your question in that regard. Sorry for taking too much time, but I just wanted to cover the ground so that we can have opportunity for other questions. Okay, control room.
Says, how do we protect our income and accidents? And yeah.
Okay, Sakina, that's for you. How do we protect our income and accidents?
Yes. So based on that question, when you're taking the income protection, it literally asks you, so you tell them this is how much, if you give me this amount of money, because I'm not working, but I need to do bills. So if you give me this amount of money, I will be okay for a month. And then they tell you what premium you're going to be paying. And that's income protection. So that's based on your salary. There has to be proof that you are incapable as well. It's not because you've been made redundant or because you've left the job. It's basically you are incapable to do it because of accident, injury or sickness. That's it. And then in terms of accident, I know most people, when you take car insurance, you feel like you're covered, but your car insurance is actually covering the car itself. Most of the time, it doesn't cover yourself, unless maybe the third party is at fault, and then they can claim money from that aspect for you. But when you do an accident insurance, then it covers yourself, not the car. So that is separate. So there's car insurance, which is the one that we have to do for driving, but then the accident one is the one you do to protect yourself. And if you want a personal advice on that, I've put my contact details in the chat room. You can please message me or call me, and I'll be ready and happy to help you as well. Thank you.
Jazakumullah khairan jaza. If I might add to this, I mean, insurance also is divided into two. We have the voluntary and the compulsory ones. I mean, one of the compulsory aspects of insurance is car insurance. I mean, in this country, for example, the law, if you have a car, you have to take insurance. You know, in such instances, I mean, Muslims, you have no choice. It becomes necessity, you know, even if it is based on riba. Because if you don't have insurance, you are violating the law. And I mean, so for anybody who has a car, it's compulsory. Now, for those who have a house, or maybe for yourself or your health, those ones are voluntary. And this is why perhaps maybe in such areas you have a choice in relation to which school of thought or which position, perspective you want to rely on in that regard. Now, let me ask you, Sakina, regarding, I mean, protection insurance earnings. Mm-hmm. I mean, and these questions comes a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And one critical point is that, for example, a person does salary protection insurance. You've been working, you've been paying the premiums for nearly 40 years, 30 years, 35 years. Your work is still intact. And is it not putting money down the drain?
I know I get that question a lot. And that was why I mentioned it in there, that when we do insurance, yes, even though we're putting it as a protection, we actually don't pray to be in that situation where we would need it. But if we need it, we have it. So now when we've done income protection because of our earnings, and then 40 years, we haven't made a claim, most of the time insurance protection or income protection would cover you up to the age of retirement. So now once you've retired, you're not making any money.
Yes.
Now that's why the government is preaching about pension scheme as well.
Yes.
So we have to put money into our pension, yes, so that we can benefit from that if and whenever we retire. Yeah. But in that aspect, once you've done the insurance, when you're working and you're still capable, if the need comes before you retire, then you can do that. But now there are different types of income protection as well. You can do one that will cover you up to retirement. So now that you've been written off, that you cannot work anymore, then they will pay you up to you retire. But then the other one, which is if you do it to cover you for just 2 years. So if your GP says you cannot work for 3-4 years and you've only done for 2 years, it means they would only pay you for 2 years, and then you would have to fend for yourself after that time. So now it depends on your affordability, which is why I said, let your insurance be affordable rather than it being expensive or too cheap. And I hope that answers your question, sir.
Well, I mean, yes, in part. Brother Masood, if you want to come in, if you have, contributions you make to, because I know, the insurance question would be quite a lot. Yeah. If you have, views you want to bring onto this, you know, a long time ago, I had a friend, and who even pensions, he was not actually a Muslim, but from his own perspective in relation to the fact that he said, look, rather than me buying insurance or maybe going, and we were in very good jobs. He said, rather than me actually going for the pension, the money they will be taking out, I'll be saving it. And I said, you can't do that. And believe you me, he'll be putting the money aside. He saved it he was just putting the money aside, you know, rather than putting in insurance. And it was, we have not been in communication for almost about 10 years now since I left, Bristol. Now, he told me, he says his money is intact. And at a point, he invested it by himself. He invested the money by himself, and it's bringing him returns. If you feel that, you are in control, one could say that, well, and if you are in a good job and you can put one other way of making precautions or also protecting oneself for the future, is to ensure that, you have good savings. You save up. And when you save up, invest them. You can invest them in halal transactions, which can Because the truth of the matter is, I mean, the insurance company, when they take the money, they invest it, you know, and they do, I mean, a lot of, I mean, calculated investment. If you are able to, you know, follow with your savings and then invest it properly, perhaps maybe, I mean, you can also be able to protect yourself. I mean, Ramos Oud is a motivational, is a, what do you call it? I mean, an experienced business person. So what's your view on that?
It's not my expertise, but
Okay.
certainly I'm aware of the need for insurance in many situations.
That's right.
So I fully agree with many of the points you have made, Professor Masood Badari, and you have expertise in knowledge as well, you know, in knowledge of the Deen, which is very helpful indeed. I think some of the mundane things, day-to-day things, like you mentioned about car insurance, for example, you know, we have no choice. We just need to do that. It's common sense. If you yesterday I went to visit a niece who was run over by a car. She was coming from school after giving an exam. Somebody was in a state of panic, probably didn't make enough plan for the journey, in a rush, in a panic, ran her over. Now that could have been fatal. Luckily, she's safe. Now, if that happened, how is that person going to compensate and do anything to settle the matter? So these are common sense things. Sometimes I used to come across, you know, in my youthful days, there were people around in the community of an extremist nature who would go around saying that, look, you know, this is haram, that is haram, and so on, and branding everything haram. And they are the ones who would get caught for having a car without insurance and then probably get sent to prison as well. So where is the smartness? We have to be smart, we have to be prepared as best as possible. But, you know, in Islam, you tie your camel and then you say, tawakkal ala Allah. You know the saying of the Prophet, that you make preparations basically, you do the best you can humanly possible, and then you leave the rest to Allah, because no insurance can protect you from every eventualities. There are many things that are in the hands of God. So, you know, at the end of the day, we trust in Allah, but of course, use your own common sense, and most people, I think, do that anyway.
Jazakumullah khairan jaza. Thank you so much, I mean, for that very useful, I mean, addition to it. Control room.
Yeah, we have some hand raised and we still have questions. So I'll just take one hand raised. Somebody, Fire Tablets, if you can make it very snappy, please. Fire Tablets, unmute yourself. Okay, if not, we'll go to Majid. Please unmute yourself and ask, okay,
Hello.
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go on.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, I'm privileged to be the manager for Olateju Sekina, the person speaking about insurance. I'm a manager.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm here to support her, and you've asked a lot of good questions. So I'm actually requesting that if you can keep my mic on so that I can be able to support her in.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if there are questions which you will want to contribute on as Mr. Sakina's
and
manager,
also,
that's fine.
you also said something about someone keeping his money and invested it.
Yeah.
I will also comment on that as well.
Okay, go on.
Now, regarding the income, how does it work? Objective of income protection is to ensure you have something that will continue paying you regular monthly income if you're unable to work due to sickness or accident, either when your employer stop paying or when they are not paying you at all. As we all know, every employer pays for a limited period and some don't pay at all. What about if something happens, you can't work for a limited period? How will you support your family? I always say this to my clients. Your income is like foundation of your home. Everything we do rests on our income. If your income stops, every other thing in your house will stop. And if a foundation of the house should be removed, the house will definitely come down. That is why it is important to have that income. Now, you now said, oh, but if someone paid for many years, he never claimed. I can give you this assurance, Professor. When you have income, when you have enough protection, it takes your fears and your worries away. That way, you have nothing to worry about, or you worry less. But when you do not have things protected, or you do not put the right things in place, any small thing you'll be panicking. For example,
well, the question to that is, in Islamic insurance, I'm telling you, Islamic insurance will give you also peace of mind. But if you have paid your premium for a very long time and you have not made a claim, you get a payback. Why can't conventional insurance do that? It's a product. Why can't you have such products? You have a lot of Muslim, these are challenges you need to consider.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There's some product that we call them, there's some product that like saving plan.
Yeah.
That come with some element of insurance. Are you with me, sir?
Yeah.
It is the government that regulates things in UK. And the way it's done, you'll be paying certain amount of money. You'll say after some period, if you do not claim, certain amount will be given back to you. However, such insurance or such product was stopped a few years back. Reason being that government is looking at, okay, if someone is paying £50 for, let's say, 20 years, because most of those products will say if you haven't claimed for 15 years or 20 years, you get certain money back. And they look at how much people are getting back as a return of premium.
Yes.
The government now fed that people are actually losing money. You could have advised them to invest that money in something else and pay little towards the insurance. That is why insurance is becoming cheaper every day. For example, if you start early, I did a meeting the other day, just yesterday, a lady took insurance $500,000 and she's paying £17. Imagine someone investing £17, but if it's that kind of insurance that will give a guarantee, that will give a kind of return of premium asset after a certain period, then that whatever she will be getting back will have been added or built into that premium. Are you with me, sir? So as you said, there are different products. You understand what I'm saying? But we'll be happy to sit down with people, as you put our detail there, to let people see the options available. You understand what I'm saying? Because insurance is different from saving. If you want to save, let's say someone want to save £17 to arrive at 500,000. Do you know how many years that person will save? But if something happened tomorrow, we pray nothing will happen to her. If something happened to her tomorrow, that 500,000 will be available to her family to support her children. So it's about taking the risk of £17 and why the insurance company is taking a risk of $500,000. So both sides are taking risk.
Thank you so much, for that input. The address is there, those who wants to, get in touch, to seek advice on that. The important thing is that, as we said, it's need to provide, to take precautions.
Thank you, sir.
In relation to things that might happen to us in life.
Thank you, sir.
Further questions?
I'm not sure if this has been answered. I said, do we build cash value in this life insurance policy? And also, is the temporary insurance more Islamic than the permanent life insurance?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, both within Islamic insurance, you need to, within Islamic perspective, whether temporary or permanent, one needs to take precautions. Now, for example, issues of health, could be temporary, because health could be temporary and it could be ongoing for a long time. And as I said, in relation to life insurance, some people have a misperception of it. The reason why some scholars will tell you that life insurance is, not allowed, is about speculation. That, perhaps, but if you think about it well, actually, there's no speculation about that. It's because death will come anyway, and it's about protecting for those you leave behind. So whether it's temporary or permanent, the concepts are also available within the Islamic concept of takafful, of insurance. Insurance is not a big issue. It's just the sustenance of it, the riba, and also the gharar aspect of it. And there are a lot of viewpoints on that. It's similar to banking. Today, you find a lot of people will tell you that, well, there are scholars who will tell you that, when we talk about riba, it has a definition. Some people will tell you that actually bank interests are not riba. Some will tell you that it is. So there are different views on it. It's about the connotation and the understanding of it. And we are in modern times. People don't keep their money at home, and people sometimes have their dignity. They don't want to, when they fall on hard times, to go to the mosque to be begging that, please, my job is lost, help me. So this is why one needs to take precautions, So if people want personal advice also in relation to the Islamic way of doing it, or perhaps maybe advice on that. And remember also that the concept of necessity does exist. Darura, necessity does exist. You know, whereby if you have no option, if you have an Islamic option, as Brother Masood said, reasonably, I mean, you have to do something to protect the uncertainty of life. People will just try you they will tell you sometimes based on dry faith, tell you that, well, you don't need Allah will protect you all the time. But as I said, Allah says, I mean, take your precautions. Even though Allah will protect you, you need to take necessary precautions. So my perception would be that if you want to take insurance, look at whether there's an Islamic, one available, and think about it and see whether, and as I said, I know there are many companies that have Islamic windows because they know they want to get, business from Muslims, you know, and this is what I'll be telling Sakina and her manager as well. You should think about that. I mean, Islamic insurance is very popular now, and it's within the UK system. You might want to add that also to your product. Think about it and see how it is done, and add it up, and you get more customers. And those who do not, are not able to find that, you can use the doctrine of necessity. That, well, for example, if you have a house, you know, you want to protect it, anything could happen. If you don't have any other way, you can't find the Islamic one, you can use the principle of necessity to have a conventional one. So this is what you might, need to think about. We can take one more question before we call it a day.
Okay, I'll need to decide which one then. Says, given all that had gone wrong with the bank re-IPP, the question is to Sakina, what would you suggest that people should be aware of?
Good.
Okay, so that's in terms of, sorry.
Can I take that, please?
Okay, Majid, go on.
Thank you so much. IPP is a form of a protection that banks and some credit card company sold to a lot of people unaware, or they've make it in such a way that people cannot say no. That is why, as I said earlier, we are in a country where things are highly regulated. There's this adage in Yoruba that says, I don't know, I'll try to put it in literal things in English, that says a pounded yam of 20 years can still burn your hand. I don't know if I put that one correctly.
That's right.
Now, we're in a society where when you do things, you might think you've gone away with it. One day, some people will open the book and they will investigate it and say, okay, have you treated this customer fairly? We are in an environment where every customer must be treated fairly. You understand what I'm saying? The good news is that all the people that benefited from the IPP, they are now paying back. Most of them are paying back with interest. It depends on how long you've had it. Now, with what we are doing today, we are in highly regulated environment. We don't sell insurance to people. We advise people. And we don't just advise on insurance. We also advise on protection. We also advise on pension and investment. It depends on which one is relevant to you. And everything we do is highly transparent, and there's no hidden thing. There's no, what is it called? The IPP thing is not part of it. You understand what I'm saying? Because government have discovered that such things are used to exhaust customer, to steal from customer either directly or indirectly. And most of the people that designed the product, they made so much money. Many of them were millionaires. But at the end of the day, they were asking to pay that money back. And she mentioned something very, very important earlier that said going to back, they only give you what they have. But that might not necessarily mean, that might not necessarily be what you need. So by having an advisor will look at the whole market and see, okay, which one is actually best for you? And they will give you options and they will leave it to you. Then it's now up to you to now decide, okay, this is what I wanted. This is what I don't want. Because most of the people, when they say, oh, I took my insurance from my bank, did you actually go there to ask for insurance? They only invite you to a small room once they notice that you usually have some balance in your account every month. They want some portion of that. I met someone without children, without nothing. They gave that person life insurance. When I met it, I said, okay, do you know objective of life insurance? Life insurance is a form of insurance that is not compulsory for everyone. Objective of it is to reduce financial impact of early death in the life of people that depends on you financially. So if you don't have anyone that depends on you financially, you don't need to have one. Either you haven't got children or your children are grown up, if your children no longer depend on you, you don't need life insurance, but you might need something to pay towards your funeral, which is another form of insurance. So there are different types of products available. So the IPP things, to God be the glory, we do not sell anything that involves it, and we don't do anything that involves it as of today now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, I mean, for that insight into. So thank you, everyone. I mean, we want to thank Brother Masood for his very motivational talk about, I mean, change. And also we thank, I mean, Sakina for her talk about protection. Jazakumullahu khaira jaza. All those who are online now, please note that the time has changed for the presentations. We are now on by 6 o'clock to 7:30 because of the change of time. And this is the same time with Nigeria. We thank all our viewers, and the Ya Ayyuhal Ladhina Amanu for today will be from Surah to Muhammad, Quran chapter 47, verse 7. Allah says, Ya Ayyuhal Ladhina Amanu in tansurullaha yansurukum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. It says, oh, you who believe, if you help Allah, Allah will help you and make your feet steadfast. You know, I mean, Imam Al-Ghazali in Ihya Ulumuddin, when we was talking about this, he was actually talking it in relation to various things, in relation to fasting. I was just looking at this not long ago, just like the day before yesterday. He interpreted it in relation to fasting. He said, fasting is like a shield. So if you fast and the fast will protect you, it's like a shield. So it's like you helping God to help you. So many of the things that Allah has commanded us to do, that we should, I mean, not drink, we should not, I mean, do bad things, we should not do zina, we should pray and things like that. When we do them, it is like we are helping Allah, and when we do that, it gives us the result of the benefits of doing those things. So please let us stay within the rules of Allah. I mean, avoid what Allah has prohibited, comply with what Allah has, I mean, enjoined on us. And by doing that, we'll be helping Allah, and Allah will help us. Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. I'll now hand over back to Malan Abdul Ghani to sign us off.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Well, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for his guidance. I'm very sure that you all have greatly enjoyed and learned a lot on the program today. If that is the case, why not make sure that you join us? However, don't keep the treasures, the nuggets of gold, don't keep them to yourself. Make sure you get in touch with us on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as on YouTube. Make sure you share this program. Let us go wide and wide. Not wild, but wide, inshallah. As we prepare for Ramadan, make sure you prepare very, very well. You see, when life throws lemons to you, don't cry over it. Please make lemonade out of it. And you understand what Abraham Masood Ahmed said. He said, be the change.
That's you want to see.
He was quoting God, be the change you hope to see in people. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make it easy for all of us. Allahumma Ameen. Don't forget to join us same time next week for another exciting and highly educative episode of We Believe. I remain yours, Abdul Ghani Olawale Hassan. Till when we meet next, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
In just under 60 seconds, I'm going to tell you why investing in this opportunity will change your life. Are you ready? Start the clock. Over 20 years ago, a group of believers acquired a derelict pub slap bang in the centre of the Old Kent Road. As we've grown, so has our need for space. And we are embarking upon the journey of a lifetime to extend the good work of this masjid. And we need you to join us on this journey. Let me remind you of Allah's promise. Whoever builds a mosque for the sake of Allah, Allah will build for him a house in paradise. And it doesn't stop there. The masjid that we build will continue to give you rewards for as long as it remains standing, perhaps decades after you pass away. Think about all the people who attend the mosque to pray 5 times a day, every single day of the year. The Jummah service that is attended by hundreds of people, the hundreds of youngsters learning how to recite the Quran, and your fellow brothers and sisters breaking their fast in the month of Ramadan, right here in this masjid. Inshallah, you'll get a slice of the reward. All of these and more coming straight to your scale of good deeds. So what are you waiting for? Help us build this masjid.
Sponsor a prayer space and get your friends, neighbors and loved ones to sponsor one too. Or even better, get together and sponsor a whole saf.
And inshallah, watch how Allah elevates you in this life and the next.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان